Yeah! Yo, check it out, y'all. It's your boy. It's your main man, Mc The HipHoptimist. You see I'm doing the light bulb. Then I'm adding all the other stuff on. Kind of got a squatting stance right here. I hadn't even said what character this is. This is, I won't say a new character. I'll say this is a character introduced in the Spider-Man Superman crossover. So it is a combination of two characters. And it was introduced in that book. But I got this squatting stance. I kind of wanted it to be sort of this, I hope that translates. Anyway, I got the chest pumped up. Getting the shoulders down. You know, got to have that light bulb shape for the torso. Then for the hands, Jim Lee said something about hands. He was like, you know, it's just a pentagon. And I was like, oh, okay. So, worked with me. Now I'm adding claws to the pentagon of this new character that was created for this book called, I don't know what it's called. I'm going to call them not Spawn. SuperVenom. That's what I'm going to call them. SuperVenom. Got the face, getting the face down. Okay, so got the chest up. I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, adding the muscles. And I won't say it's premature, but I'm looking at stuff and I'm like, I need for this hand to be possibly a little smaller than the other hand. It's a little smaller, but I'm just looking at stuff. I didn't like that leg. Wanted some more dynamics in the pose. So I said, let me put this one back and have him on his toes on that one. That leg on his toes. Kind of like that. So I'll work with that. And you can't see it now, probably, but I put in a cape, the Venom cape that happened. And I pulled his chest up even a little more. So I'm redrawing the center line. And I actually made that thigh a little bigger and the calf part a little bigger, the foot a little bigger. And then I'm making the back leg a little smaller. Trying to push it into space, making that bicep a little bigger, making the claw a little bigger on this side of the form since it's closest to us. Kind of got a worm's eye view. Not real distorted, but I do want to push it, making that form a little smaller, the hand a little smaller on that side. And as you can see now, the back hand that's furthest away from us is about half the size of the hand closer to us. Kind of pushing that perspective a little more. All right. Now I'm adding some muscle back. Okay. You know, I like my heroes or villains or whoever I draw to look heroic. So I push the chest back even more, trying to really push it back. But a little more arch in the back. Now I'm getting the muscles and knees and a little more definition in the legs. And this Spawn Superman, I keep saying Spawn. This SuperVenom, I thought it was cool when I turned the page. It was sort of a great reveal. That's storytelling. And you turn the page and bam, he was right there, double page spread. I was like, oh man, I have to draw this character. That's immediately what I said when I saw him, actually. I have to draw this character. So, putting the Superman on the chest, the logo. They did sort of a combination Superman Venom look where you got some simulated spider legs coming out of the Superman logo. So I made mine a little more organized. This is my sensibility. Put one on one side, one on the other, and you're always comparing when you're drawing. Because the body is symmetrical, so you're saying, okay, even though it's not a face-on shot, I still have to think about symmetry as it rounds the body. So now I'm making the cape sort of that liquidy Venom goo. That's what the cape kind of looked like. So I'm just kind of putting it everywhere. Not really making it look like a cape. I actually think it looked more like a cape in the book, but I just got it kind of just moving everywhere. So got that nice arch in the back. I can really see that arch. Love it, love it, love it. Now I'm working on inking. And I'm starting with the head. And this character had a mouth that kind of stretched the venom. It wasn't teeth, it just stretched the venom. And then it had the eyes. And that was all on the face. No nose. I've been looking at some John Buscema and the Marvel's Way artist, how to draw comics the Marvel's Way. And so that arm and shoulder kind of reminds me of him. He had, in his proportions, he really drew big shoulders, and they kind of cut deep into the bicep. And he also had the head and neck really, really going down into the shoulders in a broad manner. That's sort of characteristic of how he did his characters. All right, making sure that forearm is smaller in the back than it is in the front. I think I'm even making the hand smaller as I ink it, if I remember correctly. I want to make sure that that perspective is right. And again, you can see it's about half the size of the hand most nearest. That liquidy cape. That venom goo. Getting my outline happening. Just doing all this detail work. The line. Man. I've done some pencils as finished pieces of art, but I mainly ink, so I'm really thinking about doing some pieces just with pencil. Ironically, it's so much faster. Or maybe not ironically, but I'm just telling you. It's so much faster for me to just do pencils, because if I were doing pencils, that first sketch line I put down, that would be it, you know. It's such a freedom in the pencils. And you have a freedom inking too, but for instance, right now, what I'm doing, I have to do this before I do anything else. If I were doing like a finished pencil, then I would shade this first. So I got my shadows everywhere I want it to go, and I could erase that back into the image where the shield and all that other stuff is, the simulated lines and simulated legs of the spider or whatever. Yeah, but since I'm inking it, it's kind of a different story. And of course, you got whiteout and white pens and other things like that. So, see, I'm trying to get these eyeballs, which is a new look for a Venom character. Venom has had some nice character designs, I think. I really like the Venom that I'm getting now, as of the date of this video. It's a Venom that I collect. And I think I've said this before, but I collect because of the artist. So I don't even think I've read. I have read a few of the books, but I hadn't read a lot of the books, to be honest with you. I look at the art, and I love the art on Venom. I hadn't converted to digital. I think the Venom artist is a digital artist. But I really like his perspectives, and I like his anatomy. It still looks clean. It's clean. So it looks like it may, be computer. I'm not a fan of clean, but I like his stuff. I like his stuff. I wish I had his name right here with me, then I could tell you, but I don't. But he's a good artist. Getting these legs, getting all the shadows in now. And this is where the magic comes in, where it looks thick. It looks, So this is me digging in my bag for what I want, which is the brush pen. And so now I can do my thing. The good thing about this Venom is it doesn't have to be just sharp. I can kind of just play and do my thing. So I really appreciated that about Venom, period. You can kind of, doesn't have to be sleek with Venom. Doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So I appreciate that about certain characters. See, and now I'm dealing with all these legs, lines I made for the legs, making sure I don't draw on them and make sure I go all the way to the outline of the legs so I can have a finished line right there. Wouldn't have to worry about that if it were pencils. So I may start doing just some finished pencils. I don't think I've done A1 since recording. I've inked everything. So that would really, I believe, put my time in half. But I will say this, I'm experimenting even right now. I remember this part, because I just throw down the darks real quickly, and I had to still do some thinking. I mean, I know where all the muscles are, but I'm still doing some thinking. And ideally, if I had tight pencils, I would not have to do any thinking. But these pencils are relatively tight. When I look at some of the stuff I see, Ryan Benjamin or Dave Finch do, man, like they can basically do the outline, and after that it's all inking. It's crazy. And have it be so fly, right? But I'm still doing my internal darks. I've already done the pencils. And the way I'm doing this leg is sort of like the toes are coming through. And even that line was kind of wavy. And, I was like, that works for Venom now. Works for Venom. And again, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do some rendering under that leg. So let me not make it all the way black. Getting the neck muscles in. Below the neck and head. Getting that mouth. I wanted it wide. See, expression is in the face and in the hands. All right. Is it time to do some feathering and hatching? I think it is. So now I am adding planes, shading. That's what this detail work does. And just kind of knowing what to leave open, what to close off. And I think it really helped that I pulled that other leg back. And that gives it some more dynamics. I would even say this is sort of a Hulkish pose where the Incredible Hulk would just be, Of course, he would be thicker than this, but feathering everything, hatching, covering up some stuff, fixing some things. Getting that midsection, making sure it's like mine. In my dreams. I could have pushed that back being a little further, had the chest up even more, but I don't know. I guess that's it. Oh, you may be thinking, why is the picture crooked? I was just inspired to do this. I knew as soon as I saw the picture, I wanted to draw it. I just so happened to see the book lying down right in front of me while I was watching TV. So I said, man, I'm finna draw this picture I've been wanting to draw. So I just set up my arts area, and you can see the tripod, or at least part of my phone holder by my pen. Just filling in all this stuff. If it were pencil, I can just shade it real quick and then erase it. All right. And I don't know about everybody, but when I ink, I actually don't want to mess up, y'all. But I've also heard an artist say, man, what it's really about is not messing up, but more about fixing your mistakes. And as an art teacher, as an artist, I find that to be true. It's not so much about if you're going to make a mistake, because you're going to make it. And as I look, I see mistakes that I've made, and I just kind of push through them, see if I can alter them in any way. I believe the rule of thumb in comics, the rule of thumb is, if it's something you don't like, then black it out. So I've used all those type of tricks. I'm working on the face right now, getting the face down pat. People seem to be amazed sometimes that I'm just using regular number 2 leaded mechanical pencils. But yeah, I use whatever from wherever. I could buy them at a dollar store or have a student who leaves me a pack or buys me a pack. Here's my calligraphy contour. Varying the size of this contour as I go along. To me, this is where the magic of comics are. This is my John Byrne influence. Terry Austin. Actually, more John Byrne than Terry Austin. I think when John Byrne inks himself, his contours are a little thicker, and yeah, I think mine are a little thicker. Sometimes I look back and say, I shouldn't have had it that thick, actually. But my tendency is to go thick with it. I remember some old Dale Keown. You know, he, of course, was a disciple, I believe, of John Byrne. Just in my estimation, love Keown. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Man, some of his horror-looking stuff. Whereas John Byrne always drew robots, Dale Keown always drew horror-looking things. And so I remember some of his early work and how he would use like real thick lines. And even with Pitt, I think as he went further, he used thick lines. I think his style has morphed into a more realistic proportion and feel to it. I myself try to retain that exaggeration and stylized. I mean, all these artists are stylized, but he was one of the first, maybe the first person I saw online to show you how to multiply, filter your pencils so you can digitally paint over them. I think it was his tutorial who showed me how to do that. So thanks, Dale Keown. You're my teacher, man. I can't tell you how many times I looked at the lighting on Pitt and was like, how in the world? Anyway, I'm using my finger as my center point. Got an idea about how to do this cape, which was really kind of all black, but I was thinking to myself, let me do the cape. Still do the cape black. However, I want to retain the integrity of my calligraphy contour. So I felt like this was a way to do it and still add dynamics to the picture. And all these diagonal lines, adding those dynamic lines, and then have them all pointing to the shield. So when you see it, you may not be thinking about the Superman shield, but it puts you back in the center of the picture. It kind of forces your eye back in the center of the picture, or at least that's what I hope. Again, I am attempting to make sure that I put all my lines in the right place. If I had not drawn the cape and just freestyled it, I wouldn't have to worry about going inside these lines. I could just make my own lines up on the spot right then. But it's still fun. The Venom goo. Making sure I got all these circles inside or areas inside of the cape. I want to make sure I don't touch those, and then got circles outside the cape. Make sure I get those. And by it being so organic, I'm not truly worried about if I fall outside of a line or anything. I'm staying pretty true to the line I initially drew. And I just thought of this right now. If I had just done the cape in pencil, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have really used it just as a guide. You live and you learn. If I had to draw this character page after page after page, that's how I would probably do it if I were inking it too. But I will say that the decision I made to have that perspective or all those action lines going toward the center, I may not have thought of that. And I'll tell you the truth, man. My wife came home and I was just looking at some of my drawing videos on YouTube because I was just having so much fun, man. So I look at these things too. Anyway, that leads me into this. Like, subscribe, follow, friend, befriend me. Connect, kick it with me. Most of all, get Mctivated. This is Comicbook Bold. Want a commission done? Just hit me up. Info is in the description. So, yeah, man. But I enjoy these too, man. I'll look at these. I'll find myself looking at one after the other. And I don't want to get too deep, but I say when you shock yourself, man, that's proof of God. And this It's shocking to me. I like it. Yeah.
Leron McAdoo found joy in drawing superheroes, but he was an illiterate third grader. So suddenly his mother said she would not buy another comic book until he could read them. McAdoo rose above being afraid of words to getting paid for words. Now he uses words to get people Mctivated about their own superpower. He drew strength from drawing. This is Comicbook Bold. To see his comic commissions and comic art, go to pinterest.com at that hip hop and select Leron McAdoo art.